Although our dogs are considered members of our family, they can also pose a potential danger. Shockingly, a dog recently attacked its owner's baby, and the reason behind this incident is truly unbelievable. Join us to uncover the details of this incredible story. William and Wendy, a newly married couple, purchased their very first home together, which they renovated to their liking. While the house was beautiful, their most cherished part of the property was the backyard. With its vast expanse, they envisioned it as the perfect place to spend time with their future children and beloved pets. Although they had aspirations of starting a bigger family, William and Wendy weren't quite prepared to have a baby just yet. Instead, they opted to expand their family by getting a dog. They desired a young canine companion, but were unsure of which breed to choose. However, one aspect that was of utmost importance to Wendy was that they adopt a dog from a shelter. Prior to their visit, Wendy took the initiative to research various shelters in their vicinity. During her search, she came across a shelter website that was located approximately an hour away. Although she initially didn't intend to travel that far to find their new furry companion, a particular dog on the website deeply tugged at her heartstrings. The website described the dog as a mix between a German Shepherd and a Labrador. He had really sad eyes in the picture, but that wasn't even what really caught her attention. It was the description under his picture. They explained that he had rescued his mother with her puppies while they lived in terrible conditions on the streets. The mom and all the other puppies were adopted, but this one was left behind. He had more injuries than his litter mates, and by the time he was back on his feet, he wasn't in the cute puppy stage anymore. He was already large, and while he was still a young dog, his size frightened away many prospective new families. The shelter he was living in didn't have the space to keep all the dogs in their care, and he was basically on death row. The day he was set to be euthanized was only a week away. Wendy sprang into action right away. She wasn't going to allow that beautiful dog to be put down without any attempt to save him. She called William, and when he read the dog's story, he was on board right away. That was Friday, so since neither of them were working the next day, they drove to the shelter. The personnel at the shelter were really happy to show them the dog. They didn't write the shelter policies, and it broke their heart that they had to put down any healthy pups, especially one so young. They brought the dog out into the yard. He was massive, but also incredibly gentle and very timid. They bent down and slowly moved their hands towards him so that he could smell them, and the pup came slowly closer. His tail between his legs, they scratched him and he plopped down and lay on his back, showing them his stomach. He was timid, but as soon as they showed him the ball that they brought for him, he jumped up and his tail started to wag vigorously. Suddenly, he was just an excited puppy who wanted to play. It was decided right there he was going home with them. Both William and Wendy had fallen in love with the big clumsy dog, who they were going to call Bruno. They had plenty of space and even more love to give him. Normally, the shelter would take a few weeks to do home checks before they allowed a dog to be adopted. But since Bruno was living on borrowed time, they rushed the paperwork through. They didn't have time to wait. That same day, Wendy and William loaded Bruno into their car and brought him back home. They didn't have anything ready for him, so they had to go and buy supplies. But even if he did need to sleep on a pillow the first night, he was just happy to be out of the shelter and into a loving family. That was what they quickly became, a family. Bruno was easily scared for a while after he came to live with them, but soon he became a confident, happy dog. He loved going to the park with William or taking long walks with both of them. But there was one thing he loved above all else, that was cuddling up with Wendy on the couch in the evenings. He was really active, but at heart, Bruno was really a lap dog that just wanted to be with his family. He became like the couple's child. Then something happened that would change their family. Wendy found out that she was going to have a baby. For the entire time that she was pregnant, it was like Bruno became even more gentle and a lot more protective. He lay at her feet wherever she went. He didn't leave her side if he could help it. And when her tummy started to show, it became his favorite place to lay his head. It was like he was listening to the baby's heartbeat. Then they had their baby girl, Jane, and they brought her home. And it was like Bruno knew that she was his baby right from the start. Instead of following Wendy, he suddenly went everywhere that the baby went. He would lie next to the stroller and keep the baby company. Some people kept telling Wendy and William that they should keep such a massive dog away from the baby, but he was never anything but gentle. He would lick her fingers and bring her his toys. One of the first times that baby Jane smiled was at the dog. The bond between them was very real, and neither Wendy nor William ever worried that the dog would injure the baby. He was just too soft with her. They just knew that he was going to be her protector and her best friend for the rest of her life, until one day when something really shocking happened that none of them would ever forget. It was a nice warm day, and Wendy and William decided to spend some time outside on the grass, underneath the trees. They put down a blanket and let the baby lay, playing with her toys. They had just turned her to have some tummy time when the food they had ordered arrived, and William went to fetch it at the door. Bruno walked with him to see who was there, leaving Wendy with the baby on the blanket. Then her phone started ringing. It lay on a little table at the back door. It was only a few steps from the baby. Wendy would still be able to see her, so she got up to answer the phone. She turned her back to Jane for a few seconds while speaking. The baby couldn't even crawl yet, so it should have been fine. But suddenly Bruno came storming out of the back door, growling as they had never heard him growl. He was angrier than they had ever seen him, and he was headed straight for the baby. He stormed at her and growled and bit down at her legs. Wendy had never been so scared in her entire life. She would later say that everything happened so quickly that she could do nothing to stop it. But at the same time, it felt like everything was happening in slow motion. She must have screamed because William came running out of the house. They ran towards the dog and the baby. William pulled the dog away from Jane, and Wendy checked her out. But despite the scary way that he had attacked the baby, there wasn't a mark on her. She was just crying from all of the shouting. Then suddenly, Bruno collapsed. When William looked back at the blanket, he realized why the dog had seemed to attack their baby. The reason will shock you just as much as it shocked them. There on the blanket lay a rattlesnake. He was right next to where the baby was laying just seconds ago. Bruno had been protecting Jane, but he had been bitten in the process. His breathing was shallow and he didn't look well at all. William and Wendy were distraught. It was unfathomable to them that they had once feared the dog would harm their baby. However, Bruno's heroic act of saving the child's life had put him in grave danger. Without hesitation, they scooped up Jane and rushed Bruno to the hospital, as they were able to identify the type of snake that had bitten him. Bruno was administered the necessary medication immediately, and while he was gravely ill for a few days, he eventually began to show signs of recovery. After selecting the dog, they were able to take him home. When the baby and dog were reunited, the heartwarming moment brought tears to everyone's eyes. The dog had always been a beloved member of the family, but from that point forward, he was showered with even more love and affection. He had truly earned it. I hope you liked this video. Please share and subscribe to our channel. Thank you.